I think that's when Indiana was getting ready to play Miami. And we actually got into this whole thing, the average age of 23 of the Indiana squad. Last week, I talked to Nate Turner about raising kids and all the wonderful, I don't know if you guys get the chance to go back and watch that one. He kind of talks about he prepared his son to go to an Ivy League school before he was even born, and then all the things they did developmentally all the way up to making him, and he ends up going to he went to Brown, I believe, and then graduated and is now a CEO of a company. And I got to interview his son too on the podcast, and it's just phenomenal. And so we've just been talking about all kind of things. Tonight I have special guest on, AD, the Kingmaker. I was just talking to him just a second ago before we got started. It's been a year since we had a conversation, which I can't believe. It goes so fast. I think over 200 episodes since we had a conversation. I hope that I'm getting better at this than I was before when we started a year and something ago. But we just like to have fun. I see that there's some of the folks that want to come on and talk and have people going. I'll put it where the chat has ability for us to see some of the comments as they come in. But we've been talking a lot about, and a lot of the people that are on this group here have been talking about why love waits. We've been talking about relationships, and one of the things that I decided this year, and you guys can either comment, we can change directions here, is that I was tired of just doing stuff by myself. I was tired of just saying, I'm running at this speed, somebody's not with me, and then I say, well, forget you, I got to go, I'm moving ahead and you're not willing to stay up with me. And what I realized is that can get a little bit lonely, is thinking I got to do everything by myself, but it also doesn't allow me to bring other people along with me. And I think about our next generation and our young generation and the folks that are coming up. Am I spending this year in March? I don't know if you know it's 80, but I turned 60 in March. And so now I'm thinking a lot more about legacy than I ever have before. And I don't know if that was maybe the turning point, is realizing I'm at this age, or it was just me going, I'm tired of running alone and doing stuff because am I capable of it? Yes, but is that truly life? And so maybe we can just, AD, maybe we start with you and just kind of introduce yourself and like who you are, what you got going. I would love to just have an update, what's happened last year. So maybe we'll start there, and then maybe some of the other folks that are on, we'll let them kind of introduce themselves, and then we'll just go from there.
I think last time we talked, you were like trying to get I don't know if it was 100 or 1,000 Black interviews.
It was
Hopefully you hit that goal. Okay. So that was 24. You're right. It was the end of the year. You're right. I remember because you were like at 97, 98. Okay. Yeah. So quick update. So I used to do like a tech coaching offer where I was helping guys get into tech, kind of create lifestyle. And so I have since stopped that offer. I am now a men's lifestyle and relationship coach, and I primarily coach husbands. I think husbands are some of the most noble people in the country. And I think that a lot of them are suffering in silence in terms of not feeling respected and not feeling validated within their marriages. And I think that most husbands are in what I would deem mediocre marriages. And what I mean by that is like, you got the courting phase, you've got the honeymoon phase, and then you've got maintenance. You've got the rest of the marriage, right? And so in the courting phase and the honeymoon phase is usually amazing. It's passionate. You can't keep your hands off each other. And after that, it kind of just goes away, right? And I read some stat that said the average marriage is sexless, quote unquote, and it doesn't mean zero. It means like they're engaging in the activity 10 times or less per year, right? And like that's just, to me, that's just no way to live. That's no way to live. Like you're too noble of a man. You're providing, you're protecting, you're thinking about the future, you're legacy focused, you're making sure the kids have money. Like you're wearing all these hats, and what they don't realize is that there's honor and duty and all these things. However, that has nothing to do with sexual desire. That has nothing to do with sexual desire. And so they kind of get resentful of their wife because they're like, hey, I'm doing all the things. I'm doing more than I've ever done, and I'm getting less than I've ever gotten from you. Right. And it's a very frustrating place to be. And I've been there myself. And what I've learned is that there is actually what I call the desire equation. Right. Mm-hmm. Desire is a subconscious calculation that is constantly being monitored and run. It's like rocket science, right? It's not as simple as I make it sound, but I simplified it so that I can help others the way I've kind of helped myself. But it is constantly being calculated in the back of your woman's mind, right? And so I've decoded all the variables, and once husbands understand what the variables are, right? And by the way, money is not one of them, right? Once you understand what the variables are, you can input the things that increase at desire, and you can stop doing the things that decrease it. Once they know, they just don't know. Most men don't know. Like I was raised to, and I heard a lot of, oh, don't try to figure women out. They're crazy. You'll never understand. And then my ego is like, you don't tell me what I can understand. I can understand anything I desire to put my mind to, right? And so I largely spent tens of thousands of hours just learning and observing and understanding female nature, and learning that like there's human nature, then there's female nature, there's male nature, and there's some overlap, but we are not the same, right? And kind of just learning those differences and learning how to appreciate those differences, and just kind of showing men how to get the results that they want to feel desired, right? And so that's kind of what I'm doing now. I love it. I don't want to do anything else. And I'm super excited about the journey.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to open that up and talk more about that. That's right on time for what we're doing. Maybe we'll just start with Pastor Marcus. Maybe just introduce yourself, where you're from, and so we'll know who's here tonight.
I'm in the Tampa Clearwater area. I'm Pastor Marcus. I'm an author and also a self-awareness coach. Been doing that for a very long time. I just released my newest book called Challenging Your Worldview, Be Bold. The thought process behind it is kind of who are we in our mind? Because if we don't break apart who we are in our mind, we can't understand better relationships. So we have to be self-focused to a degree. Obviously, if you're into God, you want to focus on God. You got a spouse, kid, you got to focus on all that. But you want to have a mindset of understanding who you are. So in the book, Be Bold, that's what I take you through, is breaking down the mindset, asking certain questions, and specifically to sit on top of some of the stuff that the Kingmaker was saying. I talk about marriage tying down the nuts and bolts. Marriage tying down the nuts and bolts gets into the thought process of who are you in your marriage? Do you want to be a marriage of integrity? Do you want to be a marriage of focus? And do people around you, meaning your family, your kids, do they see you as a united front? Because if we don't sit on the principles of marriage as a unit, then we can't go forward, because we are already looking for breaking down. So we have to be self-aware enough to understand that we are a people, meaning as an individual, we are a people who are relationship driven. And so if you're relationship driven, because at work, at home, out, whether you're at the football game, wherever you are, if you're relationship driven, you got to be self-aware enough to get what you want out of the relationship. Because a relationship that doesn't serve you to a degree, then that means you're only giving, you're never receiving. So you're not totally fulfilled. So in marriage, tying down the nuts and bolts, that specific chapter is focusing on who am I in a relationship and what do I want to get. So before I go have that big conversation, which is okay to have, I'll disagree or whatever, and that's the kind of conversation I'm talking about. Before that, who are we? Who am I in that conversation? Good to meet you all.
That's awesome. Thanks. Tanisha.
Hello, everyone. I am Tanisha Harris. I, too, am an author of a journal, All That I Am. I am a mother of a 20-year-old, and I work in community with the nonprofit All That I Am, that is helping our young Black girls and our youth have resources and tools to become the better version of themselves so that they can show up well, not only for themselves, but in community, in family, in school, whatever they choose to do in this world. They know who they are so that no one else tells them who they are.
Cool, thank you. Mr. James Young.
How's everybody doing tonight? My name is James
Wonderful.
Young. I'm glad to see Tanisha on board. It's been a while. I'm an author also. I'm a chef. I own a real estate business, a trucking company, a non-emergency medical transportation business, and an Airbnb. I also volunteer at the VA. I do a lot of things. I'm retired. I just try to keep myself busy, and I'm happy to be here. This is not my first time talking to Dr. B and guests. I always look forward to these deep dive conversations, especially where Tanisha is involved. Because
we have a female perspective tonight.
You know what?
I'm saying,
I'm glad to see you, James. I am. This is gonna be interesting.
Right.
Gotcha. You're in North Carolina, right, James?
I am in Charlotte.
All right. And Tanisha, you're in Denver. And
I am.
Eddie, where are you at?
I'm in Dallas, Texas.
Dallas. All right.
Okay.
I wasn't in Dallas. You guys got the ice storm.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, I've talked to several people from Texas today. All right, Mr. Yu. Tell us a little bit. You're in Florida. No, you're in North Carolina, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. I knew it was one of them Carolina.
You're gonna get it at some point, man.
I know.
I'm from New York originally, but I've been down in the South since '96, between South Carolina and Florida. Like James, I got a lot of hats. I'm not gonna name all like he did. I ain't gonna name all those things that I do. we can talk about it offline, but at the end of the day, I'm a high performance coach. Been a minister for 30 years. Married man, got 3 daughters, 6 grandkids, and 3 great grandchildren. I'm a podcaster since 2020. We got 3 shows. Matter of fact, some of the topics tonight, we're covering in our wholeness series on our Inspiration Station podcast. So we're talking about some of the same topics in our 10-part wholeness series. So excited about touching more of that. And we're working on an e-course for hard chargers to learn how to embrace daily disciplines so they can be truly successful. So we're working on an e-course for that too. Hopefully that'll be out within the next couple of months, hopefully. But beside that, man, Dr. B, good to be here with you guys again and to have this conversation. Good to see you, Pastor Marcus, and everybody. AD, good to meet you, Tanisha, and look forward to the convo tonight. Oh, Sam, almost forgot you, brother. See you down there. Go down in the dark, but I can't see you.
Yeah, he's in the dark. I didn't see it. Yeah.
Come to the light, Carolyn. I can't see you.
It's not even dark in Nevada yet. What are you doing sitting in the dark? Talk to us. Tell us more about you.
Step into the light, Carolyn.
He went completely
dark in here. I thought I had the lighting on. I'll have to fix that soon here. But my name's Sam Herrera. I've met a lot of you guys on different podcasts. It's good to be back. I live in Las Vegas. Yep, in the West Coast. I'm originally from a couple of different places, New Mexico and Los Angeles, California. I've lived in both. I just moved to Las Vegas in 2021. Entrepreneur, own some businesses. I'm currently in the staffing arena, and that's about it right now. I own some real estate, and I work for helping people lead other people. Thanks for the time here.
All right. Well, thank you for all you guys, chiming in tonight. As
I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we hear you.
You just can't hear us, so you must turn off your microphone. But again, thank you guys for all being on today and just sharing from your hearts. For those that are online that are watching live, I'll try to monitor the chat the best that I can, and we put it up on the screen so all of us can see it if I miss out on it. But one of the things that Pastor you talked about today is just marriage. And AD, maybe I'll just have you. Yeah, I think all of us, all the people that I know here are married, and several of us have been married for a long time. Some are just a little bit shorter amount of time. And maybe, as you're helping men to be good husbands, because they can't be husbands if they're not married, maybe kind of walk through some of the the things that are important, that your beliefs in marriage, and we'll just have other folks chime in as we go through. I know Pastor Marcus talked a little bit about being together, and who am I in the relationship, who are you in the relationship, and what those roles are. Lately, I've been talking to a lot of people that say, well, hey, we have some defined traditional roles, but then we've now moved on to some roles that are not as traditional as our society has changed. I just wrote a book called Relationship versus AI, which is all about now we're sticking this other, bots into the middle of our marriages. So, AD, why don't you go ahead? I'll just go ahead and let you start because I know you're working at this world. So I want to hear what you.
So I will start by saying this. My take on relationships and marriage is very counterintuitive. It's very I don't consider it to be controversial, but when I talk about it, people do consider it to be controversial, right? And I know this sounds backwards. I think marriage is overrated. I think it's highly, highly, highly overrated. I think that what's far more impressive, far more valuable is to have a loving, harmonious, efficient relationship, right? Because you have a relationship with your significant other even before you marry them. And then you throw marriage on top of it, right? And sometimes marriage is like veneer that sits on top of it. And it's like, and people will clap and they'll say, 30 years, 40 years married. And I'm like, but if one or both sides are miserable during that time, I don't know if I'm not clapping for you. I'm not impressed, right? I think they call that struggle love. So to me, marriage is overrated. The quality of the relationship that you have with your spouse is that's more important. And I think a husband's number one job is to keep his wife highly sexually attracted to him. That is his number one job, because everything else becomes easier. Everything else becomes easier. And if it's not the case, then everything else becomes more difficult.
All right. Does anybody want to respond to our first the overrated marriage? What are you guys' thoughts?
So I just want to respond to AD. You make some very good points, and I agree with what you say somewhat, right? Both people should work on being sexually attractive, not just the man. That's one. Men are more visual, so maybe the woman should work on being more sexually attractive than the man, right? Marriage, like you say, is a relationship, but sex, as you get older, sex takes a backseat to security, comfort, and having a companion with you. I love sex, don't get me wrong, but after a while, you're not jumping into bed every day like you were when you were in the honeymoon phase. But your marriage is more than just having sex and sexless marriage, all this stuff. It's about a relationship, having a companion, somebody to grow with, security, and emotional support. So I agree with you. The sex will slow down after 20 years, 30 years, but by that time you have formed a bond that is unbreakable because you're friends and you have a lot in common. So I agree with you somewhat and disagree with you on some parts, or maybe some parts were excluded as far as the relationship part of it. Does that make sense?
I hear you. A couple things. I heard you say both should. I'm harping on the word should, right? Mm-hmm. I don't use the word should. I don't like it. I find it to be critical, right? Mm-hmm. If I set a goal to do 100 push-ups and I can only do 25, and then I say to myself, oh, I should be able to do more, I'm indirectly beating myself up, right? So that's one thing. I see that men have a lot of shame. But two, I mentioned sexual desire, which is different than sex. So I'm not talking about sex. I'm talking about desire. I'm talking about like she can't wait to get to you. I'm talking more so about an emotion, if that makes sense, right? Gotcha. There's something called the lens of attraction, right? Mm-hmm. And any man here who's been in any kind of significant relationship that has started and then ended has experienced this. I'll just speak for myself. I've been married now for 5 years. I've been with my wife for 15 years. I've had girlfriends and other things during the same time. It's a long story. However, in the beginning, when things are great, she's like, oh my goodness, he's so funny. I love your sense of humor. When she's upset or when she's not desiring me, It's everything's an effing joke. He doesn't take nothing serious. So the humor is the same. The difference is she's not attracted to me. So everything that I do or say is wrong in her eyes, right? So that's what I mean. When the desire is high, you can do no wrong. When the desire for you is low, you can do no right, right? And so most husbands have a goal, they have a vision, they have somewhere they're trying to go. They're trying to build wealth or a family or a home or a business or something, and he wants to bring her with him, kind of like Dr. B said. And that journey of bringing her with you, she's just a lot more compliant when her desire for you is high. Period.
Let me bring out 2 points, right, to that, and then I'll shut up after that. So as you get older, you might get illnesses that might cause you not to be sexually attractive, right? So you have to build a cohesive relationship. I have a patient that I take back and forth in my non-emergency medical transportation business. This guy he has all kind of catheters. He wears diapers. He has strokes, cancer, got all kind of stuff, right? Him and his wife are still, I pick him up, take him home. Baby, I'm coming home. I love you. She says, I love you too. Dinner's ready, right? They still have the cohesive relationship. As you get older, your physicality is going to change, right? You might have diabetes, high blood pressure, on dialysis. So it has to be more than just the physical attractiveness. There has to be a bond that can't be broken, because marriage is for better or worse, right? So you're going to have physical changes as you get older. I'm 60 and I'm not the same guy I was 10 years ago when I was running 10 miles and in the military and doing all that stuff, right? So I can't do the same kind of things, right? My wife and I are still crazy active, but at some point, and I'm 15 years older than her, right? 14 and a half years. So there's going to be some changes that require our bond to be stronger than what we see and how we feel about each other, if that makes sense, right? So you can't really base it on the physicality, because I know some people that are married that they've changed. The woman has probably gained 50 pounds, the man 100 pounds, but they're still madly in love because they have that bond. So,
yeah,
that's kind of how I feel about it. Things are going to change.
I'm not speaking of physical attraction. That's not what I'm talking about. Let me give another example. I've been trained by pimps, right? One of my mentors was a pimp, right? And one of the things that you see often is that one of the stories he would tell me is that there would be the biggest, fattest, ugliest pimps, right? And they would have the most beautiful women, right? Mm-hmm. And they would almost talk to them in such a way that was like, I'm bigger, I'm better, I don't like, take it or leave it, this is how it is, right? And so that's what I mean by attraction. I mean more so energetically attractive. Like she's attracted to you because of how masculine you are and how much it opposes her femininity, right? So another example of this is like you could go do something that, simple example. There might be a bug or a fly or something that comes in the room. She's freaking out. Oh my God, kill it, get it. You come in like the big strong man you are, and it's like, hey, don't worry, baby, I got this. That's called polarity. That right there is what I mean when I say desire. Like if that goes away, it doesn't matter how much she loves you. She can love you and not desire you, and that relationship would be pretty bad. It will be pretty bad. So I think love is overrated as well. I think it's necessary for a good relationship, but you can love someone who you're not in a relationship with, and you can be in a relationship with someone who you don't love. So they're not mutually.
Is that you, Sam?
Yeah, that's me. I don't know if you guys can hear, but I heard you say that you learned a lot of things from pimps, and you're looking for women that are want to be hookers and give themselves away as a commodity. Now, I don't think that learning from that, you're not going to learn how to be a husband or even have a partner at that point. In fact, you're looking at a business transaction at that point. And if all women are business transactions for you, well, then I understand how you're thinking now. I understand that everything's a commodity and they must have to work to make you bigger. right? Because then they have to fill your ego, right? And women need to fill your ego.
No.
That's kind of what you're saying.
Is marriage not a business contract?
Marriage is a business contract, but you're looking for a life partner, aren't you? Isn't that what you're looking for in a marriage?
No, I'm looking for a good follower.
Okay, so then you're looking for pretty much a hooker, right?
No, I'm looking for a woman who's valuable and wants to add value and who is going to reciprocate the value that I give her so that we can rock out for a lifetime. And here's the thing. Some relationships need to end. There's so many. I used to do a divorce coaching business. I stopped it because those men come from a weak positioning. But there's some men who they love their wife so much that they're willing to tolerate and accept just about anything. And the fact that you're willing to tolerate and accept anything is why she does not respect you. And you cannot earn a woman's respect. Respect is self-evident. Like how she respects you comes from how much you respect you. So if your self-respect is low, she cannot respect you more than you respect you. If you don't like yourself very much, she can't like you that much. So it's all about how the man treats and views and values himself, and she mirrors that.
She mirrors exactly how confident you are, is what you're saying. And then you say if she can add value to who you are and make you feel better about yourself, right? Then that's what you're looking for.
That's not what I'm saying. What are you saying? So a lot of guys engage in relationships with women, and they're like, I think that fathers do a disservice to their daughters when they raise them to be princesses. A princess is an adolescent. She doesn't have a job. She's not required to do anything. She just exists and she's valued. I don't want a princess. I want a woman. I like women who make money. So I want a woman who is competent economically. Okay. And she sees that I have a vision. She sees that I'm building something. I'm going somewhere. And she's like, hey, I like you. Can I come with you? Right. And so that's what I mean by add value. Like, you're not just here along for the ride. You have a job. You have a duty. I expect things from you. Right. And I don't expect for you to go as hard as I do, but I expect for you to treat me with respect.
So I have a question about that, AD. So this woman who is following you, you said you have expectations. Why are you expecting her to follow you and to go with you when she is her own person? What is the reason when you say expectations? Because I have a definition of expectations, and expectations don't work, in my opinion. And I've said this previously, but because you said you want a follower.
Yeah.
At what point does she lead herself?
Good question. So I consider myself to be someone who is commitment oriented, right? Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with casual sex, nor do I glorify it, but like, it happens. It's a thing, right? I think that I would rather spend my time investing in a woman. Like, rather than spread my energy and my time and my resources out amongst many, I'd rather have 1 to 2 or 3. And it's like, hey, this is it. This is what we do. Like, I'm investing in myself, whether that's books, mentorship, a podcast, meeting people like you guys here who are successful and, accredited and things like that. And I'm getting information that enriches me, and then I'm enriching her. I'm enriching our kids, all that. Right. And so, being commitment oriented, I understand the value of my commitment. I understand that she wants to be safe. Safety looks like me maybe owning a firearm and making sure everyone in the house is safe. Safety also looks like me saying, hey, that group of friends that you hang out with, I don't think that they're good. I think they're going to put you in danger. You're not allowed to hang out with them anymore, right? Or I'm going to say, don't do that. So I'm constantly thinking and considering me, her, everything. That commitment is valuable. And most men don't value that commitment. So I don't believe in control. She's a grown woman who can do what she wants. However, if you want a commitment for me, that comes with rules and regulations. You don't have to if you don't want to. But
so is there a defining between? Are you defining it between one another, or it is your way or no way? Because effective communication is having conversations where you are listening to comprehend, to understand, and to overstand. And so if you say, so my husband says to me, I see something over there that has me on high alert or concerned, I'm going to listen, because maybe I was not able to see it in that moment because of various reasons. So I will listen to understand, not to be defensive. But it's because of effective communication that we have established with one another. It, as you're speaking, and I'm asking questions to understand, it sounds like you're saying, I have told you this. If you want to hang out with them, that's it. It's my way or the highway. At where is the cohesiveness in that? I'm struggling.
What do you mean by cohesiveness?
In the conversation, the
you mean do you mean autonomy?
Well, autonomy, agency, all of those things with between the both of you, because I am hearing you speak and she must listen, and that is the end of the conversation. And in my perspective, it takes two of you to have a conversation, to understand each other. As we grow together, there's things that I have done in my past that no longer serve me, or maybe never did, but I wasn't aware of that until I continued to grow. I don't need someone to tell me or to give me an ultimatum, it's my way or no way. It is the support and the understanding to help guide, to hear. And so I'm missing that in your statement. I'm trying to understand what you were saying.
Couple things. I also think, I said this word 3 times at this point. I think talking is overrated. Talking is overrated, right? Because, like, do you want to have great sex, or do you want to talk about having great sex? Do you want to be respected, or do you want to talk about being respected? Right. So the purpose of talking, you can do a lot of things. You can have fun, all that. But typically, the purpose of talking is to change a behavior. If I say, hey, you did this, I don't like that, don't do that again, and then you do it again, we've already talked. Words ain't going to, if words could change it, we wouldn't be having these words again, right? So it's not about control. Again, she's an adult. She can do whatever she wants to do. And I think what you're asking for is the nuance and the greatness. I also believe in letting people make their own mistakes, right? So I could say, hey, I don't think that's a good idea. She does it. Okay, you're gonna learn from it. I'm not gonna laugh in your face and say I told you so, but I'm also not gonna come rush to comfort you, because I told you, like, you shouldn't have. But that's okay. Now, if it's something where I think you are, I'll give you an example. And I don't know how you're going to feel about this, which is why I'm going to tell it to you. My wife and her friends recently went on a girls' trip, right? One of her friends owns some sort of a business in New York. They've been friends since 9th grade. They went and got tattoos, right? And it said something about 9th grade to something, right? And she didn't tell me about it. And I just saw it one day when she got back. And I was like, oh, what is that? And she was like, oh, we got it. And one thing I know about my wife is she wants to be included. She wants to be involved. That's very important to her, especially in her friend groups. And so to me, that means that she's likely to get roped into something that's not good for her, right? I've seen it happen in the past. There's never been anything dangerous, but I just told her, I was like, look, and I didn't say it immediately, because I like to take the time to figure out what my feelings are before I communicate them. I can know that I don't like something, but I don't know what the emotions are. So after I kind of journaled about it, I went to her and I grabbed her hand. And one of our rules is you will speak to me with love, or you will not speak to me at all. So, and that goes both ways, right? So I don't like to raise my voice. I don't do that kind of thing. And I grabbed her hands and I said, hey, love, just so you know, that's my body. Okay. You're marking up my body with tattoos. I don't appreciate it. I need for you to ask me next time. Also, I know that you like to be involved. I know you guys like to do things. Look, next time, ask me. I may say yes. I may say no. At the end of the day, that is my body you're marking up. Okay. I'm the one who takes care of you. I'm the one who's responsible for you and your safety, not your friend. They're not going to do as much as I have. Okay. They never will. Okay. So therefore, I'm going to need you to make sure that you ask next time. And she said, okay. So that's my rules for my relationship. And those are my rules
that works for you too.
For me. Yes.
Yeah. I think that works for you and your relationship.
Can I chime in?
Yeah, Pastor Davis, you got the floor.
A couple things. That's what you all are discussing and why I wrote Loving Hard in my first book and Marriage Tying Down the Nuts and Bolts in my second book, meaning those chapters. What I'm hearing is we're mixing overall principles. And that's what I'm saying about before we go forward, who am I? Because the concept of that's my body, if she doesn't agree that that's the guiding principle of this relationship, we already got a problem. And that goes both ways. If you don't agree that your body belongs to her, we got an issue. And so before we move forward, yes, premarital counseling and guidance, mentorship is important. But starting today, wherever we are, we have to start with a premarital counseling, even if we've been married 20, 30 years, up to and including reaching where we are 10 years into the marriage, 15 years into the marriage, because those principles, if those principles are askew, the integrity and the respect is askew, it's off and it's not going to work. It is going to be a dividing principle in the marriage. And so if you talk about that sex isn't important, but to your spouse it is, you have to define that to your spouse. This is an important piece, that you look good on my arm. This is an important piece, that we have sex this many times. If we are not willing to define that, we probably shouldn't be in a committed relationship. And so that whole piece that James was talking about, because one of us is going to change. Either our parent is going to come move in, or both our parents, maybe my dad and your dad are going to have to move in, or I'm going to have to spend a lot of time. So that's that 50-50 that people talk about in a relationship. That's really never true. It may feel like 50-50, but at some point, if I'm now in a wheelchair and you're still healthy and we're 25, both of us, but I'm in a wheelchair for whatever reason, we're no longer doing the same thing. So that's where the integrity, the respect, and the wholeness of what true love is comes into play, because that's the picture of what a mentor is supposed to highlight for you. If it's not highlighted for you, you're probably not really ready for marriage. And that's what Jesus talks about in the Bible. Marriage is not for everyone. Commitment is not for everyone. It may be best that you stay single, because that is a hard pill to swallow. I thought we were going to be doing it, sex, for a good 20, 30 years before one of us was committed to a wheelchair. Now I'm 25 and you're 25 and you're in a wheelchair for the rest of your life. What is my integrity? What is my respect for you? Meaning I'm self-aware enough to realize that I decided to have respect for you as a human being, and I'm going to help take care of you for the rest of my life. So that if we don't have guiding principles, if we mix guiding principles from this book or this thought process or this fad for a period of time, we're going to shake ourselves to the point where we're going to be two different people. And that's what happens. And that's sometimes where divorce happens. I'm not condoning divorce or encouraging divorce by no means. Please get your help that you need to. I'm saying those guiding principles need to start being set up wherever you are in your marriage right now. That's what I have for right now.
Cool. I want to just jump in real quick, and thank you for everybody chiming in. One of the things, Eddie, that you said insofar, as I'm getting at it, and the principles of marriage that I kind of believe, you said that sex is overrated, love is overrated, and talking is overrated. So if you're not doing those three things, what is not overrated, or is it just the blend of, toned down? I love the interaction that I have with my wife, and when we have conversations that are, deep and thoughtful, and I don't feel like it's overrated, and I feel like I love her more than life itself, and then obviously sex too. So I'm not trying to just gang on you tonight. So, but at the same time,
I appreciate how you ask questions, because I know you, I know your character. You're asking from a place of curiosity, so I appreciate it. No, so I never said sex is overrated. I've never said that, right?
Okay.
Sex is just sex. But what people and I don't look at relationships from like a biblical perspective. Like, to be honestly, I don't care what any book says. I do what works, right? And what I do is I study women as people are animals. Period. Like, people like to not believe that. They like to think, oh, we're intelligent, we're still animals. We have a nature. right? Dr. B, you could be the most softest, kindest person on earth, right? But there is something in your nature such that if I put you in an environment that is hot and I raise the temperature to 100 degrees and you sit there for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, there's a hormone within your body that will make you pissed off. Now, all of a sudden, you're not a kind, happy person. That is in your nature, right? And so one of the things I talk to my clients about is accepting yourself, knowing who you are. One, you are a child of God, right? You were made in the image of a God. Therefore, you are a God, right? You are a little God, little g, right? But understanding that you have a nature and you don't live a great life by fighting your nature and going against it. So I believe in understanding your nature as a man, not shaming yourself, right? Because one thing that you're not as a man, you are not monogamous. Like that is not a part of male nature. You can try to, if that's the path that you choose, great. But choose it because you want to, not because society has shamed you into it, right? And that's why we have men lying and cheating, because you're going against your nature, right? So back to your earlier question, I said talking is overrated because typically we want behavior change. Oh, this is what I'm going to say. So in relationship dynamics, and I brought up pimps because I've studied all kind of relationship dynamics. I've studied traditional marriages. I've studied husbands who have multiple wives. I've studied wives who have multiple husbands. I've studied pimps and prostitutes. I've studied any kind of dynamic that exists between a man and a woman that is romantic. I've studied it just because it fascinates me, right? And so one thing I've learned is called the pursuer and the pursued concept, right? And so in any given relationship, there's always two people, right? There's the person who is being pursued, right? And there's the person who's pursuing them. No one ever likes each other equally. It is not possible. One person always likes the other person less. It might be a whole lot less. It might be a little bit less, but there's always a gap. Okay. And so the person, there's two people. This is the pursued. This is the pursuer. The pursued gets to be with the one who loves them. This person loves this person. Okay. The pursuer gets to be with the person they love. Right. So this person right here gets to feel the highs and the lows of love in marriage. They feel amazing when they're with the person they love, and they feel terrible when they're not with them. They feel amazing again. They feel it's also called limerence in the beginning, right? This person, they don't get, they're more consistent emotionally, right? They don't get the highs and the lows, but they do get consistency from the person that they love. So if we extrapolate this a little further, I'm gonna break it down and say this person gets to be in control. This person gets to be in love. And no one position is better than the other. They both need the other to exist, right? For me, what I've learned is that women, not even women, everybody likes to be in love. Everybody likes the feeling of being in love, right? It's amazing, right? Also, fun fact, this is the first time in human history where we want to be in love. In ancient cultures, being in love was like an illness. It was an affliction, because when you're in love, you do all kind of crazy things, not crazy things. You're not in your logical mind when you're in love. We'll just put it that way. When you're horny and when you're in love, you're not in your logical mind. You're doing all kind of other things, right? And so this is the first time in human civilization where we're doing things like we're wanting to be in love. Like that was not a good thing in the past. And so you can either be in control or you can be in love. What I've learned is that although I love the feeling of being in love, like I like it, I'm more likely to let things slide. I'm more likely to let her talk to me a certain way. I'm more likely to let her get away with things. And then guess what that means? Her respect for me dips. And now that her respect for me dips, now her attraction to me dips. And I'm not doing that. I wake up every day and I think, how do I keep this woman highly attracted to me? And how do I keep her respecting me? Right. And so what that means is if I'm in this position where I'm in control and I love this woman, but I'm not head over heels in love. I'm not so far in love that I'm like losing my mind. Right. I will give up. I will sacrifice that. I will let her have love. I will be in control and I trust myself to lead us to the promised land. So my character, right, largely dictates how I treat her because she's in love with me. I could get away with just about anything. Right. This is why you see certain relationships where guys beat on women or they beat on each other and they keep. I don't do that. I'm a nonviolent person. OK, I'll shoot you, but I'm not going to do nothing else. And I don't mess with nobody, so leave me alone. Right. But I would rather be in control. She can be in love. And when that woman is in love and she loves, she naturally, there was this study that I saw I think there's 3 women. I'm going to get this all wrong. There were 3 women. I think one group was virgins. The other group was not virgins. And no. I'm getting it wrong. But basically, they had 2 or 3 groups of women reach their hand in a jar of used condoms, right? Like used condoms, right? Or at least that's what they said it was. And they had one group of women like read this romantic literature first to like get them all hot and bothered, right? They were more likely, like they left their hands in the jar longer. What does that tell you? When a woman is turned on, or really anyone is, in this state, our inhibitions are lowered and they're willing to do more things, right? So as long as she is in love, as long as she is attracted, I am in control and I get what I want. I now can say, hey, I need you to go run through that wall for me. She's more likely to say, yes, okay, right? And the other thing is I'm also not normal. I'm a great man. Like this is like what I do is different. This is not normal. And so I tell her, if you want a regular man who you don't have to follow all his instructions, where you can lead him, you should go get one of those. To your earlier point, Tanisha, you can go get one of those kind of guys. That's just not me. I'm highly masculine. I love myself. I value myself. I think it is an honor and a privilege to be a man, right? And I understand that they want to be led. So I'm going to lead while you're here. I'm always going to lead. There's no moment in time where you get to lead me. I'm always leading. I will take input from you because I understand that you have a different perspective than I do. You can see things that I don't see. But at the end of the day, I'm Jordan. I'm taking the last shot. Whether we win or we lose, it's on me. And I appreciate you for trusting me. And the moment you don't trust me anymore to lead, no problem. Let me know so we can part ways. And we can do it lovingly and respectingly and all that.
Mr. Yu, I'm going there. Thank you, AD. I just saw that he had a question.
Yeah, I'm probably at a place in our hour where I'm pretty close to having to jump off, but I want to drop the question here just in case. But really briefly, I heard everything. I'm not sugarcoated. I don't agree with the majority of it. I think most people probably don't. We are looking at things from a biblical perspective, so that does give us a different lens that we're looking at things through. So it is what it is with that. And I'm a married man of 30 years, had issues and challenges. We've been through hell and back and all that kind of stuff. But I see her differently than you may see your significant other. But my question is, everybody adopted your view of women and your view of commitment, the thing that you feel like are not really necessary to spend time doing, whether it be talking, whatever it is. What do you believe families and society is going to look like in the next 15, 20 years? What do you think?
I think they would be amazing. I think they would be amazing. And again, I'm not saying don't talk. What I'm saying is that when I say talking is overrated, I mean, if we're talking about an issue, I don't want to talk about the issue no more. I want the issue resolved. I want a change in behavior. Right? I'm not saying don't talk. I love talking to my wife. She's not my best friend, but most people, if they were to see us interact, they would say, oh, these two are best friends. We laugh and we giggle all day. Right. So what I'm saying is that I'm the authority figure. And when I tell you to do something, I'm not just telling you for no reason. I need you to do it for me, please. Like I'm asking you to do this so that our relationship, our lives are better. Even if you're scared, even if you don't think it's the best move, I'm telling you to do it. Right. So that's what I mean when I say talking is overrated. But I think that would be amazing. And I think that and again, I've talked and I've coached hundreds of men. Men tend to have this provider label that they hide behind. They're like, I'm him, I provide, I beat my chest. And it's like, yeah, bro, but you're miserable. You're miserable. You're miserable. You have no clue how many men I talk to who've been cheated on, or maybe they're not being cheated on. They're just being talked to crazy, right? And men will stay in a relationship and suffer, right? If it means that his woman and his kids are happy, or they have, the lights are on or things. And it's just like, no, bro, you're important too. Your feelings matter too. In fact, your feelings matter more than anyone else's in the house. Everyone here, all the men here, if you're married, right? If you're married, you are the king of your castle. If I wanted to hurt your wife or your children, all I would need to do is knock you off. And bam, they're open, they're clear, they're free to be harmed. You are the most important person in your army, in your house. You are the head. Okay. So your feelings matter, your emotions matter. Your level of gratitude matters, right? And so what I tell people is you can't pour from an empty cup. I love my kids, I love my wife, I love all the time we spend together, okay? But my favorite time of the day is in the morning when I wake up and no one needs anything from me. It's just me, my book, my journal, my thoughts, my drink that I pour into me. And then they get the excess stuff that comes out of me. I've done the other way around where you are, doing whatever it takes and you're broke, busted, and disgusted. And then this is how we end up having midlife crises. What is a midlife crisis? A midlife crisis is when a man engages in a relationship, typically a marriage with a woman. Let's say they've been together for 20 years. Now he's got a wife and kids and all these things. And he wakes up and he's being everything for everybody else. Right? He's the protector, the provider, the dad, the this, the that, and everyone is being taken care of. Everyone's thoughts and feelings and dreams and hopes are being considered, but his own. And he did it to himself. So you can't even blame anyone. You didn't. And then what happens? He realizes, you know what? That's 18, 19, 20-year-old person within me that I disavowed, who had all these goals and dreams and desires that I just cast to the side. He's still here. He wanted a hot girlfriend in a Corvette. And so now he leaves married and he goes get a hot girlfriend in a Corvette because he acted as though his desires and who he was didn't matter, and they did. So I'm saying, if you're going to have a midlife, have it now. Start to position yourself and put yourself first now. Love yourself now. Understand your emotions matter now. Because we also know that men are more, I think, like 4 times likely to commit suicide. And more likely to be successful at it. So I'm looking at the data, regardless of what the Bible says, regardless of what everything. I'm looking at the data from the people that I've talked to. Men are suffering and it's because they don't value themselves, and they've been taught that being a husband and a provider is so important. And sure, it is. But it's not more important than you are to yourself. And that is,
I agree with the fact that you said that you got to pour into yourself. I like that. In fact, I like the fact that you said that we should take care of ourselves first before we can take care of anybody else. That's a great saying. Thing is when you lead, and what I've noticed from a lot of successful leaders is they're a do-it-yourself first type leader. Get it done, then everybody else follows, right? Once you start building that kind of relationship with anybody, really, it's a relationship builder, right? You're going to build your relationship in the fact that you're going to serve. The biggest leader I know, Jesus Christ, is a server. Everybody else gets what they get from him, and then they want to serve him. So if you help enough people help you, right? So like with your wife, right? If you got a wife and you serve her, then she wants to serve you too. I think it's a mutual thing. I don't get into marriage for something to where I can gain or lose. Really, I just want a partner to live life with. And at that point, I'm looking for, as far as a marriage is concerned, I've always looked for just somebody who can actually keep up. Do what I like to do. I like to do what she likes to do. Otherwise, we're not compatible. I understand that. And there's a lot of people. It's why they call it dating. And you don't have to be married to date. You can go and date somebody and find out if they actually are compatible with you. And the fact that, you guys like some of the same things. You guys have the same type of goals. And yes, things happen along the life. I think that's a new generation thing in what you're saying. I don't think a lot of people say, hey, I got to look at me and then she's got to follow me. And I understand that. Everybody wants them to bring value to themselves and lead their way. But I think, like I said, if you're going to lead somebody, you got to do it first. I think if you show them that you can lead and you can actually show them a path in which you want to go, right? Then they want to go the same way. Then you're leading. But if you have somebody that you can lead, then you're just on a walk if they're not following, right?
Agreed.
Yeah. So in that, you have to pour into yourself, have a partner that wants to go the same way, and then you can have your marriages how you're talking about it. But when you start talking about somebody that needs to make you better, or you get to take your day and you want to pour into yourself, and they just like a trickle down. What you're saying is, if I make myself better, they get better by just being next to me, like a trickle down effect.
Exactly.
I think that's. I don't think that's right. I think that if they're next to you, right, what do you bring them? What is it that you bring them that just being in their presence happens?
So not to be disrespectful.
No,
you
no,
sound
please.
like a guy who does not value himself. Okay.
What's that?
And I say that because if my confidence is a 2 out of 10, my son is a father whose confidence is a 2 out of 10. If I say no to him, hey, I'm not going to your basketball game. Hey, I'm not showing up to this. I'm not doing. Instead, I'm going to stay here and I'm going to do something that's going to increase my confidence from a 2 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10. He automatically now has a father whose confidence is 10 out of 10. By improving myself, I improve the proximity of everyone who's next to me. So yes, like I am my most valuable asset.
You're not there for your son because you're increasing your value, right? Your son's value doesn't increase because he's your son. In fact,
so my son does not benefit from having more confidence.
No, actually, he might just see he's got a very confident dad, but does that make him confident?
He learns confidence from his father, from his father's.
Learn confidence. You're not there to be. If you're not there with him, how does he learn anything? He just knows that you're a confident guy at home.
But I said he's in proximity to me.
Yeah, but not in proximity if you're not at his game.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
It seems like you're trying to counterpoint. Confidence is just one example. It doesn't matter.
I understand confidence, and I understand.
It could be my courage. It could be my confidence. It could be
anything you want. But if you're not around him, how do you exude those things? You say he comes home and you're not there.
I am.
I understand that. I mean, I have children. I have raised them the way, and I'm not angry with you. I'm just saying that's a different point of view. The point of view that you're taking, I think you're misunderstanding. I mean, not a misunderstanding. That's your point of view. So however you want to raise your children and however you want to be next to somebody, it's not osmosis. Either you're next to them because they bring something to you, right? You're actually having to make a point and let's say I lost my whole train of thought. Sorry about that. But what I'm saying is this. If you have somebody that wants to follow you and go the same way, you're going to enjoy your ride. But if you don't, then it's not a ride anymore. It's over. The thing about your proximity part, right? I think the proximity part is if they've got to bring value to you, then I don't think that you have to bring value to them. I mean, you do have to bring value to them for them to be around you. I think that's valuable. Right. Who I am, right, is valuable, but where you take yourself, and if you're so confident,
is valuable, then you don't see proximity to you as valuable, and most men don't.
That's unfortunate for them then, if they don't believe themselves as valuable. Because if you're not valuable, how do you bring value to anybody else? Right? That means how do you take care? If you don't take care of yourself, how do you expect to take care of anybody else?
Yes. And I would also add to that no one pays more than what they have to. If there's a Ferrari down the street for $100,000 and there's the exact same Ferrari make, model, everything is the exact same across the street for $200,000, no one in their right mind is going to pay twice as much for the exact same thing, for the same commodity, right? Therefore, some of these men who are in these roles were like, I do it all. I'm a provider. I'm him, and I'm doing all these things for these people or for this woman. It's like you're doing that because you believe you have to. If you valued yourself, if you knew that access to you was valuable enough that you didn't have to do that, then you wouldn't, right? If I wanted to go get lunch with Jeff Bezos, it wouldn't be free. I'd have to pay. I'd probably have to do all kinds of things, right? Because I understand and he understands that proximity to him is valuable. If it's true for him, then why is it not true for me? I don't have to do any of these things to get this woman to love me. You cannot earn or buy a woman's love. Love is spontaneously given by the giver. There's nothing you can do. You can't buy love. You can't buy any of it. So if he does this, she does this willingly. If she gives it to me, she gives it to me willingly. And I appreciate it.
Right. I can understand that. That's a great point. But in the same instance, right, if you're next to Jeff Bezos and you're buying him lunch, right, you have to bring some kind of value because he's not going to spend his time with somebody that isn't going to bring him value, right?
Sure. I mean, I don't know.
One of the things that I'm going to jump in here real quick. One of the things that I hear from even when Pastor was talking about is whenever there's a commitment in a relationship, that both sides of that relationship have to be agreeable to whatever those boundaries or the things that we set. And so however we do it, I think it's just so important, as we have this conversation and say what marriage is. And I think a lot of us have, views. I have my view of what marriage means and what it is. And so even like what Tanisha said, if this is how you guys have agreed and you've been together for 15 years, because I think that you guys set those parameters and agreement and we're both okay with it. Which is good that those parameters and stuff are in place. As I think about growing, and maybe as we kind of close this out a little bit, and the people that you're coaching and the people that you're going to, what is the next level? What is the next step in creating a relationship that lasts? I mean, as commitments were made and people have said, we all grow, and sometimes we grow apart. And so how, like when you're coaching husbands or you're coaching folks, what do you say in far as, is it just the commitment is over, or is that marriage a covenant like I believe it is, that you try to grow with it? And so what are some things that we might be able to do, and anybody can answer this, in order to keep those marriages vibrant? I mean, one of the things you said at the beginning is the man should always be desired, and maybe the woman should be too. But are there any other things that we should be thinking about or doing as we grow, so we don't grow apart, I guess is my question.
Well, a couple of things I want to say to that, Dr. Brian.
Okay.
As we grow as people, who I am when I'm 20 is likely not, culturally, probably not going to be the same person I am at 30, 40, 50, 70. Mm-hmm. I'm going to change. Even if we're both fully healthy, whoever our friends are, what we eat, things should change and are likely to change. Some person is going to grow faster to some degree because maybe they work outside the home, whatever. So those things change. So that's why the overall understanding of who we are as a people and who we intend to be has to be checked on. We have to go back to that basics of understanding, do I still have integrity to be in this relationship? Does she still have integrity to be in this relationship? Because those things change over time. Now, the commitment part and the covenant part that you make with one another and God, if you believe in God, should be the overriding principle. But the other part of the overriding principle, if you reject those things, are, who am I as a person? Do I want to be seen as somebody who doesn't put together or put the effort into a relationship or the mindset of a relationship? Because the relationship is probably more mental than physical, especially over time. It may start out physical, but over time it's going to become more mental. And then it becomes more relational, meaning a friend is not just a person who you share your house with. It's somebody that you want to have respect for. And so those guiding principles should hopefully open up the fact that you both want to go to candlelight dinners and concerts or museums and things over that time, because you both are growing. So that's what keeps the heat on in the relationship, is because hopefully you both are growing and she's teaching you and you're teaching her, because you don't want to be the only person in your house that's gaining new information, whether it's through reading, through experiences. You want your spouse to go out and gain new experiences, to have something to share with you. Because if you're the only one pouring out, that's a problem. Everybody should be pouring in. Even your children should be, after they get a certain age, should be pouring into the household. We all should be experiencing and benefiting from everybody that's in this household. Elderly parents, young children, spouse. If my uncle comes to stay with us for a little while, we all should be benefiting from whoever's in a household as much as reasonably possible. So those things help the relationship stay alive if both of you are growing mentally and spiritually, and both of you are pushing for a better relationship. Because at some point in time, one of you may give up. And if the other one's integrity and their overriding guiding principles about commitment and covenant are broken or wrong, that's usually when a divorce is likely to happen. But if one, for whatever reason, one of you gives up and the other one values who you are or who you used to be, because at the point of giving up, you may change to a degree, but of who you used to be, and they're inspired by who you can become, then they're more likely to continue to pour into you and help guide you out of that dark day, however you got there. And that's the hope that you should have in the respectful relationship.
I agree. Thank you, Pastor Marcus. I believe in agreements and not And the agreement is saying, here is what I bring to the the table. Here's what I'm offering. And it's for self in that space of agreeing with myself to become the better version of me, to elevate, to add value to every space, place, and person's life that I encounter. So in home, in community, at work, it doesn't matter. I want to be the better version of myself. And having that agreement with the next person and holding myself accountable and them holding themselves accountable and then us holding each other accountable, remembering what we said and recognizing that we will fall short. That doesn't mean that we're not committed. It means that we need to remember who we are in our greatness, acknowledge our shortcomings, and move forward together. I think expectations is if I say to my husband, I expect you to protect me, to provide safety, to provide security, that's an expectation. That doesn't mean that he agreed to that. I expected it, but it doesn't mean that he's bought into that. But if we sit down at the table and here are our agreements, then should one of us fall short or should we forget? It is the same. Like, remember that conversation that we had with each other on this day, or maybe the day doesn't matter, but do you remember this conversation that we had? That person saying, oh my goodness, I didn't even know, that was never my intent. And you recognize that it is, you know what? You're right. Thank you. Then you show up better. The elevation is releasing the things that no longer serve you and also what never did, recognizing that and not holding on to it so that you can elevate and continue to add value in those spaces, places, and people's lives that you encounter. So for the children, for the parents, the grandparents, the great grandparents, whoever is coming in that household, whoever you are encountering, it's the feeling when they enter of that energy of growth and elevation, of love, of peace, of prosperity, of abundance, of bliss, of happiness, of joy that they experience and also want to be a part of it. That is my take on it. It is not a expectation. It is not, I am only the leader. I think there's ebbs and flows, just like life. There are some times when that man is in a position to carry, to hold, to do all those things. And then there's also a time where that is not the case. And if you are in a relationship with agreements, if you are in conversation and effective communication, you recognize that, baby, I got you. Whether you say baby, honey, sweetheart, or you call them by name, I got you. And they recognize that and they're free to be themselves. And even in their shortcomings or unable to do, they recognize that it is okay for that and it will get greater later. I land my plane.
So I want to add something real quick, if I may. So if the man is the leader in the home, which I do believe the man is the leader in the home, but he has to recognize when somebody else needs to lead in this particular situation, because his wife might be an accountant and she may be the one who needs to take care of the books for the house. But if he has the gall, arrogance, the cultural understanding that he has to lead at everything, he won't make space for her to lead. So letting her lead, or even if maybe she's a police officer, let her guard the house. If she agrees that she at home, she's going to guard the house. That has to be the mindset that we all have to realize who is the first person to lead. Even if I'm the overall leader, I have to acknowledge that somebody else in this particular situation, this particular part of our life, somebody else in the home needs to lead. That's all I want to say.
Oh, that's awesome. Eddie, I'm going to give you the last thought, but I wanted to say, I want to thank you for coming on with your perspective. There's so many times that we believe and we don't know why we believe what we believe in, because society says this is the right way to do it, or this is the right, thing. And I appreciate the fact that you have gone out and you have studied and you've come to whatever that belief system is. And whether it helps me strengthen my belief system or not, I think it's important for us to have these conversations, and it's important for us to understand, this isn't just, I just do it because my parents told me to do it, or I just do it because, and to hear you say, wait a minute, this is my belief system and this is what works for us. It just shows another perspective. And I so appreciate both you, Tanisha and Pastor, for saying it is an agreement. It is not, and I love the fact that you use that word as an agreement, because if the other person isn't agreeable to it, then it doesn't work and we're separated. And my belief is that we need to be together. We need to be in communion with each other. I believe God created us to be in relationship. I'm so glad that you're not just doing technology now and you're doing relationship stuff, because that's what's most important. And I hope that you hearing our perspectives or the other perspectives here also enlightens, hey, yeah, I understand this is where we're at, and the belief system. Pastor, amazing way and eloquently way of saying things that made sense to us tonight. And so, Adi, because you're our guest, I want you to have the final thoughts as we decide to close up. But I just want to thank you so much from my heart for coming on and being willing. It almost felt like a firing squad a little bit for a second, and I didn't want it to be that way. But I did want people to be able to express their belief system and how they feel, because that's what it's truly all about. We can't be together if we don't understand each other. So I'll go ahead, and the floor is yours, and then we'll move on and close after you're done.
Yeah. Well, first I want to start with saying thank you, Dr. B, for having me. And then thank you to everybody else, especially, everyone who's still here. So Pastor Marcus, and yeah, thank you, Tanisha. I wrote y'all's names down. I don't think that we see a lot of sensible dialogue. Oh, James is still here. What's going on, James? Today on the internet, where you hear multiple perspectives. And I'm very passionate about what I do, but I love people. I love God's people, right? I love some people say, they're dog lovers or cat. I am a human lover, right? And so hopefully that shines through in some, my passion and things like that. But I appreciate us having different perspectives and being able to communicate them all in a respectful manner. And my last thought, just to answer your question from earlier, Dr. B, you said, like, what can we do to keep together so that, we don't grow apart? Two thoughts. One, I think that we use the word relationship. I think the masses, I'm not speaking about anyone on here, I think the general public uses the word relationship incorrectly, right? If I am married to a woman or I'm dating a woman, people say, oh, we're in a relationship. No, you have a relationship. The same way you have a relationship with the barista at your coffee spot, right? And if we break up and we're no longer together, we still have a relationship. We still have a way that we relate to each other. So they use the words in a relationship to mean commitment, right? Yeah. And when I say commitment, I mean, I'm giving you my time, my energy, my resources. And the most valuable thing that I believe that you can give someone is access to you. If you believe you are valuable, and I am highly valuable, right? That's the first thought. And then the second thought is, I think that some relationships need to end, or some commitments need to end. Have you ever seen two people together and you're like, they are terrible for each other? Sometimes that needs to end. That we hope those two don't end up getting married, because it's going to be terrible. If they have kids, they're going to be raising this. So sometimes, like, ending a commitment is the appropriate thing to do, right? Lastly, there was a study I heard, and they said that the easiest way, or the most sure way that a couple grows apart, is for one person to start growing and for the other person not to. That is the guarantee. So this is why I have a motto for all my relationships: she must grow or she must go. I'm going to grow. I enjoy the act of growing. I already know what's going to happen. So if you're not willing to keep up, we're not going to work. And I don't want to sound rude. I just know what it is. And the old me would try to pull you and force you to come. It's like, no, baby, if you don't want to grow, no problem. We're just not going to work out. So let's part ways. So I believe, going back to what I said earlier, I believe relationships need to end. And I think that we put ourselves in bad spaces and spots by fighting to hold on to something that is best that it ends, right? Because you try to fight to change someone to make them grow, and then you resent them because they don't want to grow, and they resent you because you don't accept them the way they are. It's like, no, set the expectation. Hey, this is a principle that I didn't realize this when we got married, but now that I've learned the principle that if we don't grow together, or if you don't grow and I don't grow, we ain't got to grow together. If you stop growing, if neither one of us are growing, that's okay, because we're still we're the same. But as a man, typically the marketplace forces you to grow. right? So if one person starts growing, whether it's the man or the woman, and then the other doesn't, it's only a matter of time before it's going to end anyway. So let's just end it now. And being willing to have that conversation and let them know, and then let them choose whether they want to grow. So every month or so, me and my wife are together, and I tell her, look, I know I'm not an easy guy to be with. It's not supposed to be easy. This is a Ferrari. Okay. You could have got it with a Honda. I'm not a Honda. Are you sure you still want to do this? Are you sure you still want to be in this marriage? Let me know. Right? Because I love you, but that, again, love and relationships have nothing to do with one another. I can love someone I'm not in a commitment with, and I can be committed to someone who I don't love. Right? So that's my final take on all that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on, and for everybody else who came on today. I just want you to know, if you're a person, I don't want you to be isolated by yourself. And we have a whole community, Becoming the Person Universe, where we're dedicated to connection. We're dedicated to commitment. I won't even say the word relationship at this point, because like you said, AD, is it's more about what is that commitment level in a relationship. And if you're struggling and going, hey, I don't know, please reach out. Don't do this by yourself. I think, like I said, I believe God created us to be in relationship and to be in commitments with each other and to be in community with each other. And the best thing you could possibly do is be in community with other folks. And sometimes they're going to be like-minded, and sometimes they're going to give you different perspective. But that's why God gives us free will. He gives us the ability to be able to be with people. And then if you're committed to your relationship with him, then you're able to choose what works best for what he would have you to do. So thank you guys again for being in. Thank you for this day. I can't wait to have Tanisha. I can't wait to have you on. You and me chopping it up. Pastor, I can't wait to have you on. James, as always, just enjoy you having on. You guys have an amazing, awesome, incredible rest of your night. And I will look forward to seeing you either in the community or the next time that we meet. Have an amazing night. Thank you, AD. I appreciate you.